Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. I hope you're counting your blessings. I hope you're getting a daily dose of passion and some nature's fresh air. My friends, I want to remind you today that you are doing so well. Facing difficulties and weaknesses was never easy, and sometimes we just lose ourselves in that state of being hard on us because we think we could do something better. But if we look back, we notice that we did the best we knew, right? We always do the best we know. But our mind starts tricking us. You could do it better. You could say other words, but you said what you knew at that time. So my friends, facing difficulties and weaknesses was never easy. And naturally, you don't figure things out immediately. So be patient with yourself. And more than anything, learn to be understanding and kind towards yourself. So what does words truly means? Because we say, well, be kind towards yourself. It sounds so beautiful, but what it means? Or even better, be understanding towards yourself. Learn to understand yourself the way you are right now. You're on a path of self-discovery, okay? You know that, right? But what it means to understand yourself on that path? It means that you learn to understand yourself, how you're functioning, how you are right now, how your mind works, how your brain works. Well, science may tell you many different things about your brain. Some people will say, well, I have an issue with my mind, like my brain is working too fast. I'm overthinking everything. Some people will say, well, I feel that constant brain fog. I feel lack of motivation, lack of inspiration. So you may find many different opinions that may describe your present state of being. But what is your own opinion about yourself? Right? How well you know yourself? How well can you describe yourself right now? Without some external opinions about you, learn to understand yourself. And after that, become kind towards yourself. Because, you're not just the product of your actions, you're the product of your ancestors and people that were around you when you were little. When you were a little kid, you had no control over your environment. When you were little. So many things, many people, many different information, many different behaviors of others influenced you to program, these programs in your subconscious mind so you are today who you are. So learn to understand that most of who you are on that mental level is a product of your past. And the truth is that nobody gave you instructions on how to live a life of fulfillment. So you're learning that on your own. And that is a path of massive mood shifts and disappointments until you learn something new about how uniquely your functioning is and what resonates with you the most, right? So we are figuring things out on our own. We are finding out what works for us, what doesn't work for us. And in the field of different information for self-growth, self-development, we may get lost in so many different tools, and we may try one thing and another thing and another thing, and we may read so many different books, right, about self-growth, self-development, that we again forget about us in the process. Many tools can be really helpful, but too many tools can poison us, right? Because, one thing is learning about the tool, but then the other thing is learning about how to use it. And then another thing is to be consistent while using one tool so we can become good with it, right? But if we're constantly just learning about new tools and new tools and new tools, we'll never become good at using the tools. And why I'm sharing this with you is because I see so many people just reading one book after another book after another book, and watching podcast after a podcast after a podcast, and watching a video after a video, so much of information, right? And we also need to learn to pause ourselves and ask ourselves, what will we do with all of that information, right? What can help me right now, and how can I build it up, right? How can I create that momentum in my life using few tools that actually work for us, so we can discover more of ourselves, right? And just become aware right now. Are you actually staying consistent with at least one tool that can help you to know yourself better? Are you staying consistent with something that you know that is beneficial for your growth and expansion? Are you staying consistent with at least one thing that you know that is helping you to be more grounded and more fulfilled? What about your passions, my friends? I mentioned at the beginning, I hope you're getting that daily dose of something you're passionate about. Are you working on that? Because passion gives us that sense that we actually belong somewhere, right? When we become passionate about something, we experience that joy for doing that, and that's where we experience that complete grounded energy, that there is actually something we can do that brings us a great sense of joy. And when we are joyful about something, we focus more on that. We focus on how can we improve ourselves in that area. And when we focus on that, we start improving ourselves, like certain skills. We start building up skills. And that's where people become really, really good at doing something. So are you focusing on that? Because if you're constantly just learning about new things, you may forget about what you're good at. You may forget about that passion project. You may forget about what makes you unique. It's nothing wrong. Like, learning new stuff, that's so awesome. And we are living in a world of information, in the age of information, where everything is accessible. So we also need to learn to choose, right? We need to learn to choose what I want to perceive right now. Because if we are not choosing what we want to perceive, the algorithms will. So we may get lost in too much of information. And it is leading us to overwhelmed minds and overwhelming emotions and anxiety. So we need to learn to organize our minds, to strengthen our minds, to focus on what is important to us, and to build up the skill to become good at something. Because you know that you are good at something, or at least you're working on becoming better at something. And I want to remind you today, my friends, knowing that you are a work in progress is a state of awareness that shows self-respect and acceptance that however you are right now is perfectly okay. And as we are moving through life and are learning lessons and recognizing more of how we are functioning, what's, our uniqueness here? And what's that authentic energy that is behind the masks we are often wearing? And maybe if you're moving through that, through the stages of awakening, and you've started pulling off the masks, you've recognized that behind all of that pretending, there's something truly incredible, but you may feel afraid to pull it out because you don't know what people around you will say or think of you. So that's a story for another day, but a great thing is that you've started discovering that incredible self. So, firstly, I want to say to you that you are brave for doing that self-research thing and that you're doing well. Because, facing our weaknesses, like I mentioned before, and difficulties, it's never easy. And as we're learning about new things and trying what works and what doesn't work, of course we will face with challenges. And we will face with roadblocks. And we will find ourselves in the moments where we feel unmotivated to do something that we know that we need to do it, right? We will feel uninspired sometimes, and it's all okay. You don't need to always push yourself. There are stages where you feel you need to push yourself, and you are pushing yourself. But then there are days where you just need to lay down and recharge your batteries, right? And more we become aware of all that process, like when we feel it's time to push and when we feel it's time to lay down, more we'll start to read our energy, like what I really need in this moment. So you may notice that there are days where you feel you need to read, you need to learn, you need to acknowledge maybe new tools that can help you to become the greatest you. And then there are days of implementation, what you've learned. So you see, not all days are equal. You know that. But because we are not aware of those different cycles, we may think that when we are inspired to learn or to grow, all is beautiful, but then at some point we recognize that we are not motivated to move forward. We think that there's something wrong. But it's not like that, there are cycles of learning, of growth, of acknowledging new information, something that can help us to move forward. But then there are cycles of implementation and acknowledging what works. Let's try it out, what I've learned. Let's see what can help me to become a better human maybe, or more self-aware, or more acknowledged, or more talented. Let's work on those talents. And then there's a cycle of rest, rejuvenation. When we rest, we actually gain clarity over our lives. What works, what doesn't work, how much progress we've made, what should we focus on in the next cycle of learning, right? And I often am reminding you about those different cycles and stages, especially when I'm making those videos about energy updates, where we are talking about in what kind of stage we are right now. And often many people are experiencing similar energy when we are moving through those different stages. And however you feel right now, pay close attention to what your life is calling you. Because right now I am in the stage where I'm creating a lot. I'm really creative right now. I'm painting a lot. I've disciplined myself, so I've organized my time so I can paint much more than usually. And I'm writing a lot, like every single day I'm making this short messages on my Instagram page, AttractPassion. That's what I feel right now. And that's the cycle for me in which I am right now. And you need to figure it out for yourself in what kind of cycle you are right now. Not the same things will work as they worked before. And in the future, not the same things will work as they work for you right now. So become aware of the cycles and stages you're moving through. But recognize that you are perfectly okay the way you are right now. You don't need to be any different. Like the way you are right now, you are completely, perfectly okay. You're learning, that's great. You're growing, that's great. You are becoming more aware, that's great. You're failing, that's great. You're recognizing your weaknesses, that's great. you're moving through difficulties, challenges, and roadblocks, and that's great. That's all natural when it comes to life. So tap yourself onto the shoulders and say to yourself that you're brave, that you've decided to do that at the first place. Remember, most people are like asleep walking through life, always complaining, always exhausted, like lacking life. And you've decided to actually do something about it, and you've decided to wake yourself up to the degree where you've recognized that the way you've been living your life before was not bringing you any sense of fulfillment, any sense of great joy, except pleasure, any sense of happiness. So you've decided to step outside of that box, and you've started wondering, what's truly my purpose right now? What can I do for my greatest evolution? Because maybe, just maybe, I could be a better example here. Maybe just for people around me, for my family maybe, without pushing anything. Just learning to know more about myself so I can tap into a greater joy. I can find something I'm passionate about. And I can learn more about self-expression. So I will not be just expressing the programs of society, but I will actually start to express more of myself. So wherever you are, whatever you do, I want to remind you that you are brave. And that sometimes we truly just need to stop, just need to pause and look into the mirror of the past and see how much we've changed, how much we've grown, how much we did, how much we failed. To recognize that every failure is a lesson, right? And every lesson allows us to grow. And when we grow, we change, we expand. And when we expand, we become more aware, more acknowledged. When we become more aware and more acknowledged, we can recognize more of that knowledge that we can apply in our daily actions. And when we apply that new knowledge, we put ourselves onto the new path. And the greater quality of the knowledge that we have, greater will be our actions, right? And greater will be the actions, greater will be results. And results bring us wisdom. So greater results, greater wisdom. And greater wisdom, wiser we are. And that's the process of evolution. So my friends, I celebrate you for who you are, for what you're doing, and I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power. Have a magnificent day. Stay creative, stay great, stay brave, and take a rest when you need it. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting and message. Have a beautiful day, and to everyone who needs some daily reminders, go and check out my Instagram page, AttractPassion, for daily messages, and my other Instagram page, I Draw My Passion, for my art gallery. And thanks to all of you for supporting my art in my Etsy shop, I Draw My Passion. You're truly appreciated. Till next time, see you in the next one. One love.